Hello again, everyone. I'm back again. I just want to bring up a few interesting points again. So we've had the eclipse just happen. We're waiting to see what happened after it. You never know what the next thing is, do we? Because it all happens so fast. It's hard to keep up with what's going on. But I did hear it. It was a rumor. It was just a rumor. I tried to look more into it, and it was that CHINA was actually in the Atlantic Ocean, and the US Navy went to meet them, so to speak, confront. So that was in the South Atlantic, by the way, where the eclipse just took place. Funny that. Anyway, so that was an interesting little tidbit about post-eclipse. So I want to talk about also the first 7 years of the Great Tribulation. The order of things is, to my understanding so far, because I do nothing but look into this stuff. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just the connections I'm making through listening to others and their connections, and like the fact that the escape, the Great Tribulation, and the rest afterward is actually explained in every book of the Bible, in types and shadows. The connections are off the charts, guys. So it's quite incredible, actually. So as to my understanding so far, the way you read the first 7 years of seals, it actually fits the understanding where in the middle of the two lots of 7, the seals and then the trumpets, there's a little rest period, which is the perfect time, as I mentioned in a previous video, where Israel can build the temple again on the foundations. And also something to think about is everyone's thinking that we've got 7 years of Great Tribulation. That's if you believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, by the way. That's where I was, but now I'm hearing these other things. I think, yeah, no, now that you think about it, it does sound correct. So the first 7 years, people think that that's it, and then there's the millennial reign. But the first 7 years, we've come to understand that it's just for seals. So I'm on board with that. You may not agree with me. That's all right. You don't have to. Just points of interest, guys. So the first 7 years, you got the first 4 of the horses: white, red, black, pale. You've got the beheaded martyrs. Then you've got so I'm in trumpets there. 6th, the 5th, those martyred, they'll ask God how long until he judges the earth. And then you got the 6th seal: catastrophic natural events take place, huge earthquake, sun turning black, the sackcloth, the moon turning blood red, and mountains and islands disappearing. The 7th seal, which is silence fills heaven, reminiscent of the Sabbath day of rest. God took on the 7th day after creation. A brief pause occurs before the following judgments. This is somebody else's description here, and I'm just sort of using that as a guide. So with that 7th seal being like a little bit of a rest period where you would have time to build the temple again. And also another understanding is that you've got the pre-tribulation people, you've got the mid-tribulation people, and the post-tribulation people. And the understanding is that It's all right. So you've got the people who are like, they're storing away their food and their supplies and wanting to survive the seals. You've got the people who want to go prior to all that. Me. And I believe we're part of that group, guys. The people who are listening, who are on board with this, makes complete sense. Also, you've got between the escape before the Great Tribulation begins, where Jesus shows up on earth. Now, I don't know if any of you got Netflix out there. There was a television series called Messiah, and very similar to Jesus Christ, a lot of qualities, walking the earth. Thing is, in that TV series, they make him out to be an Muslim. Give him all the attributes of Christ, but make him Muslim. Okay? So, found that interesting. We all know Netflix is from the pits of hell. God, they've got so many agendas on there that it's not even worth buying it or watching it, really. So that's interesting. So another connection with the escape, you've got the book of Luke, Matthew, and Mark. Luke, Christ says on the cross, "Father, into your hand I commend my spirit." So what we're understanding is that Luke is written to the bride, to the body. And then you've got Matthew and Mark written to, I think in Matthew, Christ on the cross says, "Why have you forsaken me?" And then you've got, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Okay. Doesn't mention anything else in Luke. It just says, "Father, into your hand I commend my spirit." Also, when they went to check on Christ's tomb, what was missing? The body of Christ. Interesting. Interesting. So, there's some more thoughts to have, guys. I'm not trying to put thoughts in your head, by the way. I'm just pointing some things out that I found fascinating. Like Mark, it's simple. Like it represents the mark of the beast. Those people within Mark taking the mark, or they're tempted to take the mark. Interesting. So, yeah, very interesting. All right, we'll go into some more sort of interesting other little topics we could talk about. Now, I was watching a documentary last night about World War II, how it began, why it began, and the outcome. Now, it's mind-blowing when you watch the footage from the video from World War II and what our countries went through to stop this. It was just forces of darkness. There's so many things with Hitler that were just... People said if they stood next to him while he was making a speech, they said there's no way that was human. There was something... The air around him changed. There was something that just took over him that wasn't him anymore, especially during his big speeches. So imagine what he was getting up to behind closed doors. Imagine what their end goal was if they'd gotten their way. But that's what evil tends to be: ignorant, arrogant, It bites off way more than it can chew, and that's exactly what happened with the Nazis. It's what's happening now, by the way. They're biting off more than they can chew. They're underestimating us. They're expecting us to just get on our knees, give up, hand ourselves over, and give up all hope of Christ, and good luck with that. That's all I can say. So yeah, the difference in the thinking, you had Churchill in charge of England, of course, Roosevelt in charge of the US. I'm from Australia. I don't even know who was in charge. I haven't looked into who was in charge of our country, but we were considered the ally of the US. We were there to help them with Japan, who were allies with the Nazis. There's no denying that. They signed up, literally. So they started taking lots of territory, and I believe the end goal, you had Italy in the middle, who also signed up. Funny that, Italy, Roman Empire, Mussolini trying to rebuild Caesar's empire. He didn't have a good end. Hitler didn't meet a good end. Suicide was rife amongst the Japanese. So trying to fulfill one ray of light was with the Japanese was that the head of their navy was the only guy saying no, we do not attack the US, because he'd been there, and he was like, he was thinking, you must be insane. Anyway, they managed to pull off Pearl Harbor, didn't they? I mean, they're becoming very ambitious to take over everybody's lives. It's going to be like Nazi Germany, Japan on the other side, Italy in the middle, one big empire, but it was going to be fought over, obviously. There's going to be no peace in the end anyway. Just the differences in thinking between the Allies and the Axis of Evil, as they were so called. You could just see that it was good and evil. You can bring in all the little statistics and facts and all this sort of stuff, but that was just good and evil. It's exactly what we're facing now, guys. So don't think any different. Don't look at colours, race, anything like that, language. It's good and evil. I've been lucky enough to work on cruise ships, and I worked with so many other nationalities, and I found out we had the same sense of humour. The same things made us laugh. The same things made us cry. The same things made us hungry. We were one big happy family on that big ship. Some of the most enjoyable years of my life. So yeah, so it's just good and evil, guys. Just remember that. They tried to just make us divided. I mean, isn't that what God was going to do in the last days? He was going to divide even families. He was going to divide the goats from the sheep, etc. Don't you think Satan's trying to do that right now? It's like in a sense, because you can deny the existence of God all you like, but when you look at who's in charge of this wicked fallen world, there's some weird people up there, I can tell you what. And it might be when people who don't actually follow Christ, they're starting to see things and hear things that these insane people are saying, and they're saying that it's weird, it's strange. It's not even for economical gain, it's not even for political gain, it's almost as if they're sabotaging everything around them, because they are. They're sabotaging it because it's a new world order. It's a new way. What they mean by that is get rid of Christians, get rid of Jews, get rid of the Bible, get rid of the Torah, It's heading there, isn't it? So strange people, up to the things that we expect them to be up to, though, mind you. So something to think about, the division that's being caused, trying to mirror what God's plan is. And if you want to look into that further, there's a lot of connections where trying to be God. The omnipresence of surveillance. Okay, so let's talk about dreams again. I like talking about dreams with you guys. And music. I'll tell you about another dream I had. This is when I was deep in study. This was a couple of years ago. And I seem to have some very vivid dreams where I can literally feel wind on my face. I can feel the air. It's almost like I can feel touched by something in certain dreams. I met somebody in my dream I'd never met before, but I was, you know how dreams are strange. I was talking to him face to face, but then it was like I was looking in a mirror, and the mirror was all dark, and it was really hard to see who was looking back at me in the mirror. It wasn't me. It was a man with long hair and a beard, and it looked like Christ. I mean, it might have been Christ. I don't know what Christ looks like, do you? Might have been Christ. But he was staring at me in this dark room that I went into for some reason. I went into this room, I looked into this mirror, and I could see the lights were out too. And I was straining my eyes to see who was in that mirror. And that the mirror was really hard to see into. And isn't that how I found it? The reason I mentioned that dream is because isn't the way we see God, isn't it through a window dimly lit? I was like, wow, there's such a connection there. I'm looking at Christ. Maybe it was Christ, maybe it wasn't. I'm not saying it is. I just found a connection there. Found that stunning. Yeah, so that sort of moved me a bit. Yeah. So yeah, back to World War II. If you go to, I can't remember where it was in France. World War I think it was from. There is just an absolute field of crucifixes, and that's all unknown soldiers that fought for Australia, fought for, when I say fought for Australia, they were really fighting for good, or for freedom. Now people they try to see it differently these days, but if you knew the situation in the world back then, it was peaceful as it was. There didn't need to be wars. Things could have been worked out a lot easier with words, meetings and compromises. But no. Let's just throw hundreds of thousands of young, healthy, virile men who are going to bring forth the next generation of virile, young, healthy, good-looking men and women. Let's throw them into a meat grinder and feed them with a bunch of propaganda, so they're believing that they're dying for God and country. Now, God works in mysterious ways. We know He can use evil for His own glory. I'll give you an example of that. The Roman Empire, there was a kingdom on the opposite side of the Mediterranean Sea from Rome. It was called, I'll just have a look, Carthaginian, something like that. I will look that up. I'm going to try and look it up out, but I get really bad internet in here. I'll have a look. I'll see if I can get it. Gosh, here we go. Carthagine. Is that right? Yep. Carthage. Okay, anyway, so quickly. There was a kingdom, an empire, a small empire called Carthage on the opposite side of Rome. I'd seen a lot of documentaries on ancient Rome. I find it fascinating. They wiped out Carthage because it dared challenge them. There was a man named Hannibal. He was the closest. He came the closest to taking over, destroying the Roman Empire. He literally got deep into Italy and Rome, and he was a hair away. But no, he was destroyed in battle. And I was like, oh, that's horrible of the Romans. They destroyed an empire. Why did they have to, like, because they not only defeated the Carthage people empire, they completely annihilated it. I'm talking scorched earth policy. And I was like, so cruel, it's so horrible. Why does God allow that sort of thing? But then I looked into it further, found out, guess what? Carthage, worshipping Baal, B-A-A-L, sacrificing children to their gods. The Romans found this horrific, mind you. And the Romans were not perfect angels. We all know that. Maybe there were angels possessed by them. But they weren't the perfect example. But didn't God also use the Roman Empire when Christ walked the earth? During the crucifixion, didn't he use the Romans to have the Son of God crucified? What toppled the Roman Empire was the fact that Jesus had them now by their hearts and their minds, and they couldn't go back. They couldn't go back to worshipping their idols, etc., etc., because they felt the glory of God, and they were like, I will never give that up. So that toppled the Viking Empire toppled because Christ won the hearts and minds. Who knows how many other countless empires were toppled by God. We know the Egyptian one was. God used the Greek and the Roman Empire to overthrow the Egyptian Empire. And these both weren't considered the most godly. They were godly, many gods, but they weren't godly. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there because I've nearly gone for 25 minutes here. But it's been great to speak to you all again. I've just got a bit more cleaning up to do. We've had, in 48 hours, we've had more rain than we have in 8 months. So a bit of cleaning up to do. A little bit of semi-flooding, lots of mess. My carport marquee collapsed, but not to worry. Get that replaced. So yeah, guys, I look forward to. I hope you hung around for the end of this video. Thank you for sticking through it. I'm listening to another Ministry Revealed video at the moment. See what else he's coming up with. Mind-boggling. Anyway, you should check his channel out. Ministry Revealed. And I just pick up some little points that I think about through my studies. Anyway, guys, it's been great having you again. I'll be back again soon. And I look forward to seeing you all face to face in the glory of God. Amen, guys. See you soon.